line, when you get the kind of big silver.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Like the,
Oh, I know. Did you get the email from Bill about a Questa and water on Thursday? Okay. Oh, do you? Because one said he couldn't be there, and I haven't heard from Alan and Donald, so I was going to call them tomorrow and see. I mean, if evening?
No.
Because it's at 6.
Oh, okay.
And he'd be here.
Oh, is it here? Oh, okay.
I'm hoping for it to be, not virtual. I mean, if one of the others can do it virtual, I mean, that's okay. I just think it's important to have this one in person because, you know, it's easier to discuss things in person.
That's what I brought up on, last meeting with, RTD, EO, whatever that's called.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody liked one.
I agree, it's much easier to talk in person.
I do.
I prefer that. Those council meetings, I prefer the conference. Way more than having it online.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like I get it too distracted. How many people are online? Well, when's not till we get, each of us on the bit. That's all I want a chance to know. It's, Brendan.
One person watching on YouTube.
I think. Oh, okay.
Oh, it's going here again.
Yeah, he's comfy from his home.
5 o'clock travel?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sunshine. Actually, once Miss Valerie comes back, we'll get started. What about the rest of us?
He's the only one that drinks coffee.
What about the rest of us? What do we eat?
Thank you.
I got to put your request in before the meeting. It's true.
Good evening, everybody. It's 6:04. I'll call the meeting to order. Ms. Beal, will you please call roll?
Councilwoman Luis Gallegos.
Here.
Councilman Brent Palomino.
Here.
Councilman Jason Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilwoman Katrina Gonzalez. You have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Beal. Next item is pledge of allegiance. Councilman Gonzalez, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is approval of the agenda. Councilors, you have the agenda before you. Do you have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda at this point?
No changes, motion to approve, Mayor.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Gallegos. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next item is approval of the minutes, regular council meeting, November 22nd, 2022.
On the last page, there was just 2 typographical errors and no corrections. The little c should be a capital C. And with that, I make motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Gallegos, a second.
Oh, wait a minute, I found one more. On the Cienega, it says Mayor John M. Ortega updated the council on the renting of the La Cienega gym from Taos Space. It should be to Taos Space. Other than that, motion to approve the first change.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Hernandez,
Second.
second by Councilman Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item is approval of minutes, special council meeting November 29, 2022.
As far as I tried, I could not find any corrections made, so. I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Hernandez, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Gonzalez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Next item is public comments. It's the policy of the governing body to accept public comment. Because your issue is not on the agenda, the governing body cannot respond immediately, but may direct staff to address issues at a future council meeting. Public comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Do we have anyone for public comment? No one in the audience. Ms. Roberts. Dylan. Amazon. What about, online, is anyone? Want to speak? Staff, did anyone call in for with any public comments this week?
No comments.
With that, I'll close public comment at 6:07. Next item is the public hearing section. First public hearing is USDA RD Community Facilities Application, Village of Questa Municipal Building Expansion. Ms. Vihil.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Back in 2020, there was a grant that was applied for the previous administration through the USDA and Rural Development Community Facilities Grant. At the time, the Village of Questa applied for the municipal building, as well as the development of the new fire station to be built for the business park. The grants were approved, but then comes the hard work, the paperwork. Fast forward to today, Felicity Fonseca, the Community Development Planner from North Central New Mexico Economic Development District, reached out to me to see if we could work together to complete the paperwork. Due to COVID, it was due around August, but with the change in staff, administration, and administrator, we wanted to get it in as soon as possible. I have been in contact with Joseph Castillo. He works for the RDA, and he was able to provide us with all the necessary applications that we need to fill out. So we ended up setting up meeting after meeting to discuss and properly submit the paperwork. I have also been working with Cristobal, who is also online today. The Village of Questa Administration Building Expansion got a total of $350,000. Throughout the years, the Village of Questa has lots of great projects for the village, and with the growing projects, also means growing staff and room for the staff. We're hoping to expand the administration building with a conference room and an extra office due to inflation and influx of material costs and the cost of living. The initial plan that we had for the expansion of the building wasn't, we weren't able to get everything that we wanted, but we definitely feel the need for an additional office and a meeting room. I stand for any questions, and Cristobal was also here to answer any questions on the Questa Municipal Building expansion.
So, councilors, just a little bit of more background. This was awarded through congressional direct spending. So, the congressional direct spending made its way back in 2020. We thought we had just received the money, but we didn't realize that there was a ton of work behind it. It wasn't just them $150, it was the congressional direct, they appropriated, it, now you have to vote for it and apply for the money that you're already been approved. So it was a lot of work by, the staff here, they put a lot of hours into getting that prepared, and also, Cristobal and Felicity helping us. Or helping them, I should say. I didn't have a lot of moment in it, but we did a lot of work. Do you have any questions for Ms. Hill?
That's the grant that we got from January?
Yes.
And it was due in August or this coming August, 2023?
No, it was due the August that passed.
Oh,
They
extended.
they wanted all of the paperwork to be trying to be turned in by August.
Oh, okay. No questions, Mayor.
Councilors, any other questions? And you'll see that we do, councilors, look at, just looking at this council chambers, we have, employee working in here, we have maps set up all over the place, we do need additional space. We didn't, initially, the grant had asked for, to move the MDB over here and replace windows, and we don't think we're gonna have enough money to do all that, but at least we can have an office or two, and a conference room that we need.
No, it's needed, so, yeah, I have no questions, I remember when we applied for it, so.
I do want to just, see, we are having a public hearing tonight on both projects, as it is a requirement for the grant. I did have to submit, the minutes to the, all of the paperwork, and this is our final stretch after this. We should be able to finish this project.
Sounds good. We know that paperwork is a lot of work to track and get together, and among all your other duties, thank you for your diligence in taking care of this for us.
Mayor, Councilman,
Ms. Miguel, we haven't got a goal on how much it's gonna cost, right? We were just working on paperwork.
No, not a quote as far as how much it was gonna cost. I was informed from somebody in the previous administration that there was plans, put together, I believe. I am trying to filter through documents and files and emails to find those files.
Like a draft.
Yeah, like a draft of the proposed plan, but as far as an actual cost, we do not, especially now with inflation, it's probably a lot different from 2020.
I just had a thought, I lost my train of thought. Part of this money is gonna have to go for design. That was what I was working with, so we, at the end of the day, 350,000 isn't gonna go a long way to build it, it's gonna probably be 100,000 to plan and design and get all the permitting done, so at the end of the day, we might have actually 200 to 250 to actually build, so whether it sounds like 2 offices and a conference room isn't a whole lot, it's because there's just not a lot of money to build, it's mostly going to, there's a good percentage of going to plan and design. Do I have anyone from the public that wants to comment on this? Mr. Valencia, or Dr. Valencia, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add. I think we've built into the requirements a design build process for both the fire station and for the municipal building expansion. So it leaves some room for the village to come up with new plans if they want to, find old plans, alter them. So we're just trying to, as Ms. Hill said, push this last part through to get the funds here to allow you guys to design what you want and move along that way.
Thank you, Doctor.
So the municipal building and not the fire station is the same amount.
No, the fire station, well, I was just kind of trying to keep it as two separate.
I kind of thought so, but then I got a little
Yeah.
mixed up with, okay,
I think both, as we talked about, so not both, but
yeah.
I
We
think,
work on them at the same time.
if there's nobody from the public that has comment on the municipal building expansion, we'll move on to act to public hearing B, USDRD Community Facilities Application Bills Request of Fire Station.
So it was the same process back in 2020. There's a grant that was applied from the previous administration through the USDA Rural Development Community Facilities. Once again, soliciting from Central reached out to me at the same time. She reached out to me about the expansion of the administration building, and we were able to work together to get this done. Cristobal was also meeting with me almost day to day to ensure that we got the paperwork done accordingly, because it is a lot of information and paperwork. And thank you to Karen and her budget expertise, we were able to also submit the numbers that they needed. The village of Questa Fire Station got a total of $1 million for the fire station. But once again, due to the influx in costs of materials, the plan for the fire station has not been processed or it has not been determined yet. We have reached out to our EMS, our fire chief and our
County.
yeah, the assistant, and they do have in mind what they would like as far as a building. The goal for the build of the fire station is to have living quarters, bays for the trucks and the meeting rooms for them to have. We think it's important for them if they were to have a situation to be able to come back together, assess what happened, and if they have to have any meetings, after anything that may occur. Our fire EMS worked really hard, and I'm excited for them to be able to get this approved and going for them. I stand for any questions, and Cristobal is also here for questions.
So, councilors, this, when we initially asked for it, we were trying to use, plans from Taos County Fire Station,
Right.
from one of their stations, I believe it was San Cristobal Fire Station, but that was what the plan was. However, the fire department, the chief and assistant chief said that might not be what we need for the future goals. So we're also looking at, trying to get a hold of a plan from, Rio Arriba County for one of their fire stations, and they're still working on that, but that's not out of the question right now, either of those, because Taos County has a couple of different stations that they plan to design that they're gonna be building in the near future, but, we may also just go off and design a plan on our own, because we need, when, we asked for that $1 million limit, it would have been enough with an already planned design to build this building. Right now, we're looking at closer to $3 million to actually be able to build this building, so and I think part of the process, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Beal, was determining that part of this first $1 million was just to a plan and design of our own building, and we'll get the rest of the money through either capital outlay or another congressional direct spending.
There's definitely no question that both of these buildings, the expansion and the fire station are needed. We've needed them for a while now, but we're getting closer, we're getting there. So again, thank you for your diligence and staying on top of these and making sure that we don't lose that money that we already have. Hopefully.
Thank you. Yeah, this is the last hurdle. We'll do some of these minutes. It'll let us know what else they need from us, and hopefully it is a few months more.
So, the other thing, with that is that even though we're building new stations, the old stations can still stay active, and we'll get
Right.
more money through fire funds for having two, either main stations or one main station or 2 substations.
Our main pitch for there was a section in the application where it stated, our logic towards why we would like a new fire station. And as you guys know, our fire, they not only help the village of Questa, but the surrounding rural communities as well. And it's really important for them to have, you know, living quarters, as many of them work 24-hour shifts at a time. For somebody to be there on site for their entire shift and to be able to be on call as needed without having to travel back and forth from home.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on this public hearing? Counselor, did you have any more questions?
No, Mayor.
Anyone from the public? I'm seeing no one. Close that public hearing. Next item is discussion items, public input and discussion on potential water rate increase. Ms. Shannon.
Mayor and council, I have several documents to show you tonight that will show you that we need a increase to the water rates, and I'm also gonna, throw a few things in there for the sewer department. Would you please put number 1 on there,
Ms.
please?
Shannon, before you start, I know we had talked about during the public hearing tonight. I just felt like we needed to, we need a little more time to prepare for that public hearing, and that's why we're not doing that tonight, so I'll take that one, that was on me.
Can you see this, counselor?
And next year's budget, we need a TV of that size.
So this first spreadsheet is the water revenues and expenses since I've been here. And it starts with 2014, 2015, and goes on. You'll see that 5 of those 8 years show more expenditures than revenue. So our cash that we carry over each year is diminishing. Go to the trash page on that same one. This one is the solid waste fund. And it is also showing 3 of the 8 years show more expenditures than revenue. Now, this department does have a CPI increase each year to help cover the additional costs for disposing of solid waste. And that's probably why it has less years in arrears. And then if you go to the sewer, this one is the sewer. 5 of the 8 years show more expenditures than revenue, and also that transfer in column of $76,988. Those 3 years where we gave that total, those years would be in negative cash if we would not have transferred those monies. Those monies came from the environmental fund. Those were monies that we got through GRT to pay off the sewer bond when the plant was built. Those monies have now are no longer anymore. So we don't have any more money to transfer into the sewer fund, into the wastewater fund. There isn't anymore. We've exhausted that. So we really need to work on these departments. The way I've been working it out is Ms. Herrera is the utility clerk, and I use different percentages of her salary to spread out between these 3 funds. Each fund has to be self-sufficient. Self-sufficient within itself and have no monies from the general fund coming in. So the only reason we were able to do this for the sewer fund is because it was the environmental fund that we used for the bond.
Isn't that its own revenue source? Yeah, that will fund.
The environmental fund, it was its own revenue source because of the sewer bond, but after the sewer bond was paid off and expired, then we do not have money coming into that anymore through the GRT.
So what happened to that GRT?
That's the balance of the GRT that's coming in there. Right now, we're getting very, very little each month from that fund because of the way the governor has changed the way the GRT works. We're not getting the same amount of money from that fund anymore. It's like $5 a month or something that we're getting in environmental funds. It's very little. So, I used the clerk, changed the difference, maneuver from one, split it up evenly, and then we couldn't do that anymore because of the negative. And then I split it up, 50, 25, 25, different things like that I have to do to make each fund balance. The level 4 operator that we have for the sewer and water department, he is split 50-50, and the utility supervisor is split 50-50 between the water and the sewer fund. But if necessary, then I have to play with those numbers as well.
Councilors, I don't know if you all recall, but back in our budget process this year, we had to eliminate position from our public works department, from our water department, because we just couldn't afford it in the budget. But in all reality, we should have at least that extra person in there, if not an extra 2 people in there. And that's why we, sometimes get a little bit of feedback from the community saying that the weeds aren't trimmed on time, or the park isn't kept up, or there's potholes, because they're too busy working sewer and water projects to actually get out there and do some of these other projects.
The gentlemen that work in the water and sewer departments don't just work in those departments, they take care of the parks, they take care of the streets, they take care of all those other things, but they're paid out of these departments, because those other departments don't have revenues. We don't have revenues for either one of those other ones, those come out of the general fund. So,
And,
a little tricky.
Ms. Shannon, how are the collections coming out? Is the clerk still working on that?
The utility clerk and I are both working on the collections. She's been very diligent about contacting people and following our current ordinance. We do have a lot of those people that either are deceased or the property is just sitting there and they're not selling it, it's just sitting there. We have past due amounts that people haven't paid and aren't going to pay. We have put liens on the properties. The auditors continually ask us to continue to do that and try and do some of those collections. She's glad that we had some progress, but we still need to do more. We have had some people pay, but we have a long ways to go to collect everything. But we're trying to keep the current accounts current.
Correct. Thank you.
Yeah, we do have some people that, with the leak the other day, they called, I was here late at night, they called in, my water shut off. I'm sorry, I didn't make my payment, I'm coming on Monday. And so it wasn't because, they weren't paying, but she thought it was.
Yeah.
The one lady, so she did come on Monday and make a payment, but I did tell her that it wasn't because of lack of payment, it was because of me.
And the other thing that, with the collections is that water is easier to cut the water service off. Sewer, once somebody has sewer, we can't cut the service off to them.
We have some people that are on sewer and trash only, and we can't cut them off because we don't have any way to shut them off.
If we were to, find a way to go out there,
Yeah.
sewer from entering, then it becomes a public health
Right.
emergency or an environmental emergency. Okay, shit, right.
Can we go to number 2? It's a PDF. $10.50, 2022, $11.50, and 2023, $12. Whether you believe it or not, we had some of our employees get minimum wage for a long, long time. This is the first year in 2022 that they're all above minimum wage. But as you can see, it's going up again in January. And we have to keep up with our staff to have a living wage. This is their only job. How can they make a living? And are they gonna be able to stay here if somebody else offers them more money?
We're very lucky that we have loyal employees that we do and we live there. Because I can tell you what, if they leave, we're not hiring anyone to replace them with the wage that they're getting paid.
And the four gentlemen that are working here now have been here with us for quite a while.
Right.
So we're very thankful for that.
The other thing is that, last Thursday night was a prime example. That water leak happened after they were home. They all came back to me, jumped on it, they worked on it until 3 in the morning till water was restored. That's one of the things that we need to budget for is overtime and being able to pay them for overtime. I mean, without the rate increase, we
Right.
could eventually not be able to afford to pay them overtime. And then when we do shut, let the league go until the next day until they get back to work, so they can't work overtime. There's a lot of stuff I have to fix here.
Mayor,
Councilman Lawrence.
Mrs. Lee, is there any way you can show the PDF to the people on the Zoom?
I am sharing my screen, they should be able to see it.
Oh, really?
Can I be able to?
She can see it, but.
What about Chris?
Yeah, I can see it's stuck on the first one, Val. Let me see.
You can close the first one and the second one. Close that one. The other two. Now you don't have to see.
Hold on one second.
Okay, so that number 2 you can close. Yeah, I am Beverly.
I know.
The last one we saw was the minimum wage. So there's 4. You can, right there on the bottom of your screen, close number 3, number 2. Close that one and close that one. Okay, so I'll share that one. Okay.
How about now?
Okay, so
Thank you.
this screen is the cost of living adjustment since 1975. If we go all the way down to the bottom, Valerie, please. In 2022, the COLA was 5.9%. As you can see, in January 2023, it's 8.7%. That's not just for our water department and our sewer department and our solid waste. That's across the board.
Wow.
Working to be honestly with you. Our employees deserve it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They deserve it because if you scroll over a little bit, there was a good 8 years that they didn't get an adjustment at all. And we need to be more competitive. I raise our pays. Even hiring right now, in any position right now, is proved to be very difficult.
People don't want to work for minimum wage.
And
People don't work for $20.
Exactly. They don't want to work, period.
That could be another issue.
Can we go to the next one, Valerie, with spreadsheet number 5? You can close this. Is that 5 or is that 6? That's 5. Okay, so we started to do a survey of water rates around in different 4,000 gallons as our base is $19.76 a month. Eagle Nest for 3,000 gallons is $34.36 a month. The Scout Tail for 3,000 gallons is $46.44 a month. Angel Fire charges by the size of their meter. So for 4,000 gallons at a 5/8 inch meter is $36.12 a month. For each additional 1,000 gallons past that, they charge $9.32. I think ours is about $2.60.
Yeah, exactly.
For hatch, 3,000 gallons for a 5/8 inch or 3/4 inch meter is $29.01. For a 1 inch meter, $31.58, and for a 1.5 inch meter, $37.54. These are the residential rates. I haven't finished doing the study for the commercial rates yet. But as you can see,
We are way.
people around us are charging a lot more for their water. And I don't know, I haven't looked into their accounting to see if they're struggling like we are. But I think we have waited too long.
Yeah. Well, they always tell us at the state level when we went to apply for money, if you guys can't help yourselves, why should we help you? So we've known for a long time that we are behind, but we didn't want to burden our residents. But the time has come. The only thing is, for me, $7 would be easier than an additional $15 or $20. But, it's still something that we have to determine that's in the best interest of the village. That's why we were elected to be up here and to speak for the people. So we have to look at both sides.
Mallory, can we see the spreadsheet number 6?
And one of the things I asked the staff to do in preparing this was reach out to municipalities our size,
Right.
kind of have our same economics, they don't, I don't think we compare ourselves to River or Taos, but Eagle Nest, Hatch, or one like us, Estancia, right on our size.
On top of everything else you do, thank you for putting this together because this is going to be important for the public hearing if we can get people here.
So at a previous meeting, I was asked to look at the rate study that was done down in 2018. There were different scenarios. You all decided for me to look at the 3B, and this is the 3B. The current rate right now is $19.76. That's because in July of this year, we did a CPI index, which went up 62 cents. So we need to start following our own ordinance and do that CPI every year. That's one of the things.
Right.
But the proposed increase according to 3B would be for residential, $7.04 a month, bringing it up to $26.80. The column R, the current monthly base revenue for those 745 residents that are charged the base rate is $14,721.20, and with the new rate, we would be $19,966.
Just a difference of almost 5,000.
So that, if you go through all the different classes with the proposed increase and the number of customers in each one, the additional monthly revenue would be $6,414.57. So the annual revenue would be almost $77,000. That's almost enough to pay for one employee with no inflation.
Right.
That doesn't include the cost of materials, that doesn't include anything else. Almost one more person.
Well,
One more or one more utility worker.
Wow.
So this,
With salary and benefits.
so basically this increase is just going to pay for extra expenses like diesel and
That's
tools.
right. We won't be able to hire another person. We only have to be able to pay for our additional costs that we have right now. Materials, they have to get part. Every time we do a dig, we have parts, we have diesel, we have overtime, things like that. This is just going to help us to survive in the water department. I haven't even done the study yet for the sewer department. that other page. But if you have any questions, I stand for questions.
I don't have a question there. I kind of have to make a statement. It seems like that study and the one we proposed, 3B, it's like, if we're gonna be back here 5 years again. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not gonna do as much good. And I know $7 as well, it's not too bad, but, I mean, maybe 10.
Yeah.
I don't know how much study they set up.
Well, 3A was,
I don't have my study.
we'll have to look at 3A, but. And we can take a look at that. At this point, this increase isn't gonna affect this year's budget. It's gonna affect next year's budget, how we budget out next year. I mean, I don't think even if we had a public hearing next month, by the time the rates actually take effect, it's crazy. So I don't wanna put this off, keep on putting this off, but
No,
we do need to give staff and Mr. DeFilippo direction on how to write for the ordinance when we do take action. So we can go back and look at those water rates next meeting if you want, and then we'll give direction that maybe we can get this on the agenda for either the first meeting in January or second meeting in January for the public hearing and action item. It's a hard pill to swallow because we know some of our residents are struggling, but the other news that, because I know I wasn't here tonight, and we told her she didn't have to be here, but, she's found a program to help, it's kind of similar to what they do for the electric company, the light heat, it's called, I think it's called Light Hop or something that will help, lower income residents with their water bills if they can't afford it, they can apply to that program. That's something that we can push, and
good.
she could even help those residents fill out the paperwork or tell them where to fill out the paperwork to help getting those bills paid. When we do have the public hearing, she'll be here and she'll present on that.
Good.
One of the things that we as staff have talked about is, we have our cell phones, and the price goes up if we pay it.
Yeah,
We have our television,
right.
and the price goes up if we pay it. All those different things that aren't needs, like water and sewer and trash.
Liquor
Those
and
are
cigarettes
needs,
go up.
and they haven't gone up. But
Liquor
those
and
other
cigarettes
things,
go up and we still pay it.
we still pay it.
Yeah.
And gas goes up, we still drive. We pay the gas.
We don't carpool, we take our own vehicle.
Yeah. So I really appeal to the mayor and the council. So let's move on this. The longer we kick it down the road, the harder it's going to be to do the budget. Come February when I start working on the budget.
Well, let's not prolong it anymore, and let's go with the original 7.
And we can change that.
Yeah.
We can still, because they still need to, Mr. DeFilippo will write it to the new ordinance, and we just need to take action. We can change that if you all want to look at those water rates again, and then we can advertise the public hearing. We just need to have what we're gonna buy in the public hearing. We need to have what, Councilman Hill.
Are we writing a new ordinance or are we amending the ordinance?
Amendment.
And then can we also amend it that it also gets amended, future rates by, rate changes by resolution or an automatic CPI, whatever the CPI is as of May that month or whatever, or even June, and just May, so it could be effective July 1 for future years.
Okay. Did you hear that, Mr. DeFilippo?
did not. Can you repeat it? I can hear you perfectly. I'm having a tough time hearing the council
Okay.
directly.
So Councilor Jaramillo suggested that, when we amend this, ordinance, that we put in there that rate changes can be made by resolution.
Perfect.
And also that we make sure that the CPI index is in there so that we can automatically increase the rates each year by the consumer price index.
Absolutely. That was going to be one of my recommendations to the change of the ordinance. I do think that the CPI language is already included in the ordinance, but I'll make sure that it is. Just for the council's knowledge, we are planning a meeting. It looks like I'm hoping Monday to kind of get this ordinance finalized so it can be put before you as early as possible. However, one thing I would perhaps recommend is if we can get that sewer ordinance information included on that Monday meeting as well. We can do them all at the same time, seeing as your sewer and water ordinance are both currently together. But I agree, Councilor, that it should be done by resolution, but unfortunately, our current ordinance does not allow for that, but we can certainly amend it to allow for that.
Any more questions or input?
That's the other thing that we can do, councilors, is look at doing the water extension and then see if we do a sewer rate increase as well. We don't have the information tonight on the sewer rates, but we can ask that to put that together for us for the next meeting and think about if we wanna increase both sides. Maybe we can keep the water at 7, but increase the sewer by $2 as well, and that will between the two. Between the two gives us a little bit of, that way we don't have to amend this ordinance too many times, but at least one time it'll be set.
Will do.
I mean, it's just something to look at for next meeting. We can give the staff and Mr. DeFru will have direction on how well we want it to look like.
I think Mr. DeFilippo had mentioned before that he would like to make the changes to the ordinance and bring it before the council to make sure it looks okay with you. If you have any more changes to change before we have the public hearing, so that when it goes to public hearing, it's ready.
Yeah.
Yes, makes sense.
That sound good?
Yeah, and we can approach that one of two ways. One, we could bring the totality of the ordinance to you at the next meeting with the information that was just proposed, the information that's in this graph that's still before me. I hope it's still before you. Can't see. But if we plug all of that in, we can bring that to you at the next meeting, or we can just have a draft ordinance for you for the next meeting. I think either way would work as long as we can have the required, and I would ask Karen or Valerie if they can answer this, if we can have the required notice in the paper before then, because that will be required for the ordinance to be modified. And I don't know where we are with the time frame with that. I know Taos News has some specific restrictions on that.
I think with the deadlines of the House News, you might have to wait until January for the public hearing. And that'll give us time to work with Mr. DeFilippo to get the ordinance where it needs to be and notice for a meeting in January.
That works perfect for me. I'll put that on the top of my list for you folks, and we'll get that finalized and before the council at the next meeting.
If I can suggest a timeline, Mayor, kind of what Karen said, so the cutoff for labels of the Taos News is the Friday before the paper comes out at noon. So if we have a draft ordinance, or if, whatever type of ordinance we have for the 27th, I can put it in to go in on Thursday, and then we can have that ordinance available for any constituents. Because we do have to have it available for any members of the community that want to come and look at it before the public hearing. So we just need to make sure that we do give Chris the correct information as far as what rate changes and plans you guys do decide on, to ensure that the ordinance is correct, that way when the public hearing goes out, it's correct and we don't have to make changes while it's in public
are you thinking we should do? In my mind, I think, because I'd like to see the information on the sewer that we haven't seen tonight, before we can give you all direction on what we want the ordinance.
Okay.
In my mind, I'm thinking our second meeting in January for the public hearing, and that gives us plenty of time to not be rushing, get plenty of time to get this information, and you know, this information, I think it needs to be shared with the public as well. Hey, not just on public hearing night, but if we can find a forum, letting them know that this is what we're looking at. We're not just trying to raise your age. We're not trying to fatten the pockets of the village office. We're trying to survive. We're trying to pay our employees. We're trying to, you know, buy parts. That way, when there is a leak, we can fix it. You know, last Thursday's knowledge was a perfect example of, you know, we have to run around, we have to let vendors around town for part or contractors around town, and they have parts that we can borrow for the meantime, just so we can get water back to the community. It'd be nice to have a surplus or a warehouse that they can just go and get that stuff from, and make sure that they have the right tools to not be having to borrow from, and know that they're working comfortably.
Mayor, if I may suggest, why don't we take advantage of the Questa newspaper and write an article for the people? That way they have the whole month to digest it, and we can explain some of these things, you know, letters from the mayor, kind of thing.
The deadline is day after tomorrow for the January paper.
Oh, that's true. But even still, to explain it to them, even though we would have had the public hearing after the fact, it still is notifying the people of what it is we're doing, so.
Sometimes our friends at the Questa newspaper don't make us adhere to the 15th deadline either, sometimes.
It's
Yeah,
malleable.
if it's something that's
It's-
important,
Yeah,
they
they may,
may find a space in there.
there's send that information around, I don't know.
Makes it
20th,
easier if you
22nd.
makes it easier if you get it in by the 15th. But it can be malleable, especially if it's not too long.
Okay. We might not be able to get it in all time.
Yeah, I work on payroll right now, and I can try, but I can't make any promises. What information would you want to go to the paper?
I think, Ms. Shannon, I mean, you could look at the ton of information.
And I'm glad to present this again at the public hearing.
Well, yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
just
gonna have more
presenting the
information by
public
then.
hearing. But just let people know that we are going to be having a public hearing, and we need to raise the water rates, and why we need to, the who, why, when, where, and how. You know, just something kind of basic, and maybe tomorrow I could even work on something at work and see if I can help you out with that as well.
That would help me.
Yeah. I'll throw something together.
Anything else?
Any public input?
Go for it.
Thank you very much.
Next item
Thank you.
is executive session. Can I entertain a motion for the executive session limited personnel matters section 10-15-1, 11, 2. Limited personnel matters of village administrator. Can I entertain a motion for the executive session?
So moved.
I have a second. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Louise Geisel.
Yes.
Councilman Brent Romeo.
Yes.
Councilman Jason Gonzalez.
Yes. Okay, councilors, let's make this quick, because it's cold outside.